Hello, this is Lisa Steinberg with Starry Constellation Magazine. I am joined by one of the very merry gentlemen, Colt Prattes.
Hi.
We'll be seeing him next in The Merry Gentleman on Netflix shortly. Thank you so much for your time today.
Man, I'm so stoked. Thank you for making the time. I love this. I love talking about this movie. So any opportunity that I get to kind of relive those moments and those memories that we went through and just to share it. I mean, I'm stoked. So I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.
It's a pleasure. I love the holiday season because it just feels like so warm and cozy. It's like a comforting time. There's so much stress that we build up throughout the year, and like now we can feel like we're giving ourselves like a little breath because we take time off for those of us who can. And ooh, excuse me, bug. And then um and then we you get to kind of celebrate each other and being in the
Yeah.
presence of one another and the gift of the season.
The best. I completely agree. I mean, there's nothing like it. And to prove to you how much I am also and I'm going to take you behind the scenes real quick with me. You can see that we've got a little wreath over here, but um, this is what our home looks like right now. Like we are fully decked.
The stockings
So
are hung with great care.
I mean, great care, great 3M hooks and care. That I don't have to um, yeah, it's just the best. And there's something so special. And I'm really fortunate that because right now I'm in Aladdin on Broadway, and that means I'm back here in New York City. And I just stand by this statement that I'm about to say. And I hope that everybody agrees, but if not, that's okay. There is nowhere in the world like New York City during Christmas, during the holidays. I mean, it is crazy. There's so many things to do, and there's such an energy and a vibrance, and it's so exciting. And when I was doing a show called How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, um, I got to perform in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And that was with, I think Dan Radcliffe was still doing it at the time. Like it was just to be in that parade and to perform right there in front of Macy's and this thing that we've watched our whole lives, it's something spectacular. And so I'm with you. I really enjoy this season. There's a lightness that I think the world needs and deserves. And this holiday season, I got a feeling it's going to be a special one. Not just because the Merry Gentleman is going to bring like a lot of light and a lot of a lot of heat into the living rooms, but also just because it's just it makes me smile. This movie makes me smile so much.
I mean, I would love to hear how you were kind of pitched this film, The Merry Gentleman, because yes, it's Netflix, but it's of course not your average holiday film.
You know what the funny thing is? I didn't know it was Netflix when it was first pitched to me. I just knew the storyline and I was sold immediately because the way that I describe it to a lot of people, especially if they're not theater people, is I say it's kind of like Magic Mike meets a Christmas movie. But if you're a theater person, I say it's much more like it's the Full Monty meets a Christmas movie. And I think that's the best way to describe it. And that was how it was described to me. And that's why I was just in a heartbeat. This group of characters that comes together to do this beautiful thing and be in service to someone else, to this family, that and to a community. That was the thing that got me. And uh that's because I believe that what we do as performers across whatever medium you choose to do it in. I believe we are storytellers and we are in service to our audience. And I thought that this was something that would reach a lot of people and would be a really necessary kind of buoy to grab onto um, for, you know, for the whole community, for everybody who loves these Christmas movies. It's so good. And it had me in stitches. I mean, we watched it the other night, and my wife and I, and just I was cackling because I was remembering things that happened on set and watching the movie. And then she was cackling because of the movie itself. It was awesome. I'm really excited for people to see it.
I mean, the the season, of course, like we talked about, has like this coziness, the spirit, the camaraderie. A lot of people, of course, watch Hallmark movies because they've got that sort of essence to them as well. I mean, this movie certainly is not your typical meet cute, like
Yeah,
we're used to
right.
as much as well. How does the premise really kind of set up the story and this kind of also romantic spirit that exists within it as well as the holiday spirits?
I'm sorry. I think that's the best part about it is that it's not just like not just a meet cute where you know exactly what's going to happen and why. There's this element of, and I'm going to keep unintentionally coming back to being in service, and it's the story of this big Broadway star coming back to her small town and helping her family and their theater venue revitalize in this absolutely unhinged seeming way that nobody sees coming. And then within that there's this other little meet cute story, but the crux of the story isn't just about the love between two people. It's about the love between her and her family and the community and giving, and that is the thing that I think really drives it. I mean, that and also the all male review. I think those two things just a little bit. It's somewhere in there. The scales are balanced.
That's what I enjoy as well because, like again, with other holiday-centric films, the meet cute is like, oh, she doesn't have a date to go to this, or oh, she's returning home to her family, or he's a businessman who's like such a Scrooge type of guy. Will she be able to break the ice of his heart to see, like stuff like that. And
Break the ice of his heart. I'm stealing that.
yeah. Like this is a movie where, people, I guess, maybe t tend to can forget that, love or romance and things like that can be about community, can be about family, and that's just as much of importance within our lives or within the holiday essence of things as much for this time of year too.
Absolutely. I think if we go back to all of the best stories in general, but let's stick to the niche of just Christmas movies that stick out to us. That seems to be the through line. It's very rarely that it's, oh, well, these two people finally got together. It's there's something larger at play, The movies that really last, Elf, right? Elf is not it's not just the story of him finding her. It's the story of saving Christmas and bringing Christmas to everyone and bringing all of that joy into that family that he had lost. The Santa Claus is the same thing, finding that love. And a lot of it is about, and what I think that Netflix did such a great job of, and Marla, our writer, did such a great job of, is that it's about the inner journey coming out, right? It's about knowing that what you have inside of you is enough and that you can do so much good with that, and that spreading that joy, it's not spreading joy to others, it's spreading your light and how that can affect others if you use it properly. And it's awesome. I really think that I just think the whole team over at Hybrid and Netflix did an incredible job with this, and I'm so stoked that I get to be a part of it.
I mean, you just, of course, touched on it a little bit. The writing really just kind of seems to have its own balance of naughty and nice.
I mean, I mean, Marla did an amazing job with this. She hit on something so special. There's so many chords that are hit. There's the family, there's the sisterly love. There's somebody pointed out to me that I'm a bit like Troy, my character is a bit like Cupid. I'm detached enough from the situation romantically, but I do have a vested interest in everybody's happiness. And it just that's there's so many elements, whether it's from Britt and her character to her parents or to her sister, and the way that her husband interacts. And it's just the whole community has to come together just to start this thing. And that's the best part, right? She has to be involved with the whole thing. And then the larger community comes in, and it's just I could talk about this all day. I love this movie.
You talked a little bit about your character Troy and kind of how he's sort of, I guess, maybe as a connection in many ways to many different elements or many of the different
Yeah.
people within the film. Can you talk a little bit further then about your character and maybe what kind of like stood out to you when you got the breakdown, or what your specific portrayal, like how you kind of had this blueprint from him for him from what Marla wrote from page to screen?
Absolutely. So Marla wrote, I mean, what I read is an incredibly funny character. He's just a simple guy who has these, he just has like love in his heart for this establishment, the rhythm room, and for Stan and Lily, his bosses. I mean, he just really loves this place and loves this community, but he's also the person who Christine Lakin and I sat down, our choreographer, and talked about. He's the one who is sitting there on his phone when nobody else is in the bar, and he's on YouTube watching music videos and trying to learn choreography because he secretly really likes that and like is on TikTok or Instagram and is learning dances and doing things when nobody's around because he just loves that. Which is why I love that when we actually got to the dancing portion, I was like, all right, cool. I could be a little bit like, I could try and like try out my new moves. And I think his whole thing is just sharing love. And I think he sees it very clearly and sees a path forward. I mean, it's what, the classic Solomon's paradox. We give better advice to others than we would accept in the very same situation, right? But I think that whether or not what situation he would find himself in and how he would deal with it, he can see others, and he can see when his buddy Luke is being, when Chad Michael Murray's character is off a little bit, and we can all see it, but he knows how to get to him without being pushy, just being kind, being a good friend, and man, just checking in. And he can see when maybe there's a missed opportunity over here for Britt's character, and just to share a little bit more with her. And I just love that. I love that as simple as he seems and as he could be played, because he's written as just very funny to me. He makes me laugh. Um, I like that there's a depth to him that doesn't need to be a deep character. He's just like, no, this is what it is. I love you guys. Maybe think about this. Hey, guy. He's like, he's just over the shoulder going, hey, 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 guys, did you think about this? And then I just love that. I love that and that's the whole movie. It can seem like something on the surface, but it's so much more. There's so much more depth to it, and it's adorable. It's just a really fun movie.
And these characters of Chad's character and Britt's character like need that outside person too, that little outside push or the poke at times as well.
Right.
So that's really great to have your character be there and have that lens that maybe they're not seeing each other in that way, or like you're
Yeah.
saying, missing these moments that your character Troy can be like, hello. Like,
Hello. And that's the thing. I think we all need that, right?
yeah.
None of us see everything clearly. None of us can even see ourselves clearly all the time. We need and and deserve to have others in our lives, whether it's friends or family, spouses, husbands, wives, that, or sometimes just strangers who go, hey, like that ain't it. What about this? Are you seeing it like this? And I really appreciated the opportunity to be able to be that little voice of reason, you know, just dropping in lightly and just saying, hey, let's just think about shimmying on over this way. See what happens if we do that. And yeah, so
I mean, it is sort of like a dance at times in a way that
I like that.
you're missing your mark, or you're missing
100%.
a step, or you're a step behind,
Yeah.
something like that. And you're not on the
Yeah.
beat, and things like that.
Always chasing perfection, never going to attain it, no matter how good you are. And other people can look from the outside and be like, well, I thought it was perfect. And you're like, but, and that's okay. And I love that. But there's always something you're missing. I love that. That's a really good kind of metaphor. Might have to steal that too.
Oh
I'm
my
gonna
gosh,
start
Cole.
writing down all the things. I'm gonna need a copy of this so that I can steal all the things that you say, start implementing them into my performing.
We're just doing these interviews together the rest of the day, like you and
Great,
I.
great.
We're
I
just
love it.
a team.
Let's just do it. It's gonna help me. This is way cheaper than therapy. This is awesome.
Maybe I need to start printing out my business cards with
That's what it
some
is.
quotes from you.
You should save your quotes and just have a little thing
Little
at the
TM.
bottom of each card. It's just patent pending.
you you have this great connection, of course, within these characters, and I wanted to talk a little bit further about these great bonding moments that maybe happened between the married gentlemen off screen just as much as we get to see on screen as
Oh
well.
yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about like the dancing elements and the choreography and everything that kind of went into making these married gentlemen so merry and bright?
Oh, I absolutely can. That is Christine Lake and Anna White, her associate or assistant. She just an amazing choreography team. And I mean, it's the whole team from the producers all the way down, from Netflix top down. They put together a really great team of people so that when we walked in day one into the rehearsal hall, it felt warm. It felt everybody, I mean, the props people that were there, everyone just felt like they had the same goal in mind, which was to tell this story the best way possible. And I guess the best way possible turned out to be just laughing like a lot. Like this team, I don't think I've ever laughed that much on a set anywhere. I mean, it was day one, the minute all the guys got together. Christine is funny, Anna's hilarious. All the guys are, everybody is very funny in their own way. And I was saying earlier to somebody, it was half the time it was like guttural, like just guffawing, like laughing in a way that was from your core. And the rest of the time it was like little kids in class where you're like, the teacher's like, you guys, we can't do this anymore. And you're like, and you're just like, shoulders are shaking and you can't stop giggling. You know, it's the times when you know you're not supposed to be laughing that it's the hardest not to laugh. And there were a couple of those. There were a couple of takes that I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm ruining this take right now, because right before we started, Chad Michael Murray decided I'm going to say something funny, and he knows that he won't break, but he knows that I will. And it was just, that was the chemistry across the board. Britt is one of the funniest, I keep saying non sequitur comedy people that I know. Like she will come out of left field with something that will crack the room up. And I mean, and then you've got like absolutely classics with Beth Broderick and Michael Gross, who can who have comedy chops that I aspire to have. And Michael Gross will pull something out of nowhere. He just listens in a way, when you can see it in the film, the way that both of them are, their professionalism is so great, and I think it transfers through the screen. But there was something about the two of them, and Michael in particular, for me, that I would watch him listen in a way that I hadn't seen in general conversation, and then he transfers that, as Beth does, to the screen, and it's just so incredible to work with the two of them. Was crazy. The amount of people that have come up to me and been like, wait a second, they're in this? And I was like, yeah. And then they see Chad and they're like, he's in this? I'm like, yeah. And they see Britt, and it just keeps going down the line of people. And it was an insanely talented cast, and there were no divas. It was just from the cast, the crew, the production team, everybody was awesome. And I miss them very much, because that was a very, very fun month and a half.
It doesn't seem like it would be hard to get into festive spirits, pardon, excuse me, festive. It doesn't seem like it would be hard to get into the festive spirit of things on set during this movie. Although I know, of course, most movies don't film this type of holiday centric stuff during the actual holidays because obviously. But how did kind of the location and you already talked a little bit about, the set design really kind of throw you into the mix of feeling festive?
I think the production design and the set decorators, the props team, the wardrobe team, costume team did such a phenomenal job with when you walked. So filmed a lot of it on location in Los Angeles. And when you walked onto set every day, it it was just you were in the rhythm room. Like it was what it was. You were in a Christmas wonderland. They did such an incredible job. My wife came to set one day and she was just like, "Are you kidding? Like, this is amazing." You could already tell how great it was going to be because if that much attention to detail, and this is why I love working for Disney as well, is when that much attention to detail, when that much attention to detail is paid to every little bit, and it's things that most people will never see, will never be able to tell. You know that if they're paying attention to those details, then when you add enough of those up, you get a movie like The Merry Gentleman. You get this beautiful, beautifully shot, wonderfully directed, wonderfully written, awesome. I mean, wonderfully performed. I'm talking about my friends, everybody else. I'm not just being like, we were amazing. I'm amazing. Um, but you just get everybody came in with such care and detail that I think it built into something really beautiful. And there was one set that we walked onto, and I was the last one to be called that day. And they were like, "Oh, Colt, you're not ready. You've never shot here before." And I was like, "No, I've never shot here." And they're like, "Bro, I just want to get your, I want to get your reaction." And they filmed me walking out. And as I walked out, there's like a 40-foot Christmas tree, and there was, lights everywhere and snow on the ground. And I was like a kid in Disney for the first time, just like if you've ever seen Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, there's a scene where when it finally, like when the cheeseburgers start coming down from the sky, like every character turns and is like, that was me seeing that. And it was the best. And that's what it felt like every day. Um, and that same energy that you talked about early on with what it feels like around the holidays and that joy and that energy that your community tends to put out around that time that we find that a lot of us as people feel more of that joy. Imagine that every day on set. That's what it felt like. It was awesome. I tried desperately to shadow as many people as I could, whether it be our director Peter or Marla or our producers, and just sit by them and listen as much as I could to their conversations to be like, how did you do this? Because it felt like magic. And I was really grateful that I was going to get to be even a small part of that magic.
It sounds like a lifetime of gentlemanhood has been developed here and cultivated from this film.
Oh my God, you got me today. Whew. Yeah, this was just everything. I loved it. And I'm already hoping that I get to see everybody again. I mean, they were just we've still got a group chat that we are all on that we jump into, you know, especially right now. It's just popping off with different jokes, different memes, different things that are coming up from fans. And the movie hasn't even debuted yet, which is the most exciting part.
Since the film is coming out here shortly, we have to ask what you kind of hope that fans remember or maybe lingers with them that they kind of take away from watching this movie, getting to spend, I'm guessing it's around an hour-ish of their time in this great, wonderful bubble of holidays.
I think the most important thing that I hope that they take away from it is a little bit of it's the classic joy that we hope that any Christmas movie brings with it, but it's a little bit of like laughter and giggle. I want a little bit of the giggles in people when they turn it off, being like that little thing that we were talking about on set where we were all just I want them to feel a little like, oh my God, like what was that? That was different. And then go back and watch it again. Like I want them to have that joy that they want to share, but also just a little levity, right? It's a little bit, it's not just like you said, it's not just a meet cute. It's not just that classic thing. There's something more to it. And I guess away from those two things, or in addition to those two things, the overarching thing that I would love is if they just feel like, you know, I wonder how, if it expands their frame of reference for how I could go out and be in service to my community. And maybe I can think outside the box, like, Britt's character does. Maybe there's something else here. How can I be in the true Christmas spirit and help my community in the best way possible? And maybe it'll be something fun and something different that nobody's thought of like that. I think that would be the ultimate gift that I could get, knowing that the audience loved it, got joy out of it, had some good laughs, wants to pass that on, and also wants to pay it forward in their communities. I'd be so stoked.
I love movies that really take you there in those moments, of course, again, spirit of things and get you in the camaraderie and remembering other people within your community that may be less fortunate or doing these acts of service. But I love movies that have those elements that you can really carry that with you throughout the year. That we were reminded that like obviously holidays we consider them like a certain time, but the spirit and the things that we do within the holiday period. We don't have to make them 3 months out of the year. Like the year is 12 months long.
Yeah. I don't know if it's something I heard when I was younger or where this popped up into my brain. You know what? It was probably a movie at some point because I absolutely love movies. But I feel like the holiday season is almost like plugging in a battery. You're plugging in a phone, a rechargeable battery. And that sometimes it just reminds you of all of the things that you can be doing. And then that extends through the year. And inevitably, as human beings, you're gonna forget certain things, and you're gonna forget what that felt like. And right around that time, that it starts to swing back around. Boom, now we're back in the holiday season, right as that battery's starting to die down. Maybe the joy and the giving, you may have forgotten a couple of things, and we're coming out of summer and you're like, oh, it's getting chilly. I love it when it gets chilly. I'm a fall guy, whatever. But I think that's about the time that then our battery starts to get plugged back in and recharge up. And you hit that 100% in the new year. And then you can keep paying it forward all year, all year, all year, being in service. And I love that.
I love that too. I hope more people get reminded of that.
Yeah, I hope so.
I
Well,
go
maybe
over
maybe
here.
the married gentleman will help
Let's
remind
do
them.
that, married gentlemen. Yeah. Well, you talked also in the beginning about, and you gave me this great tour of this. But what personally gets you kind of in the holiday mood, or is there any traditions or things that you do that you kind of gets you, and you're like, all right, now since I'm a fall guy, this is it. This is when fall's happening. This is when the holidays start for me.
So my official start to the holiday season, and I have some friends that wholeheartedly disagree with this, and I'm sure there will be some of your watchers, readers, and listeners that will be like, I don't know about that, but here it goes. Uh, on October 31st, my wife and I go up to something called the Great Jack-o'-lantern Blaze in Hudson Valley in New York. And I mean, there's thousands of pumpkins, and it's designs, and it's awesome. and it's in Sleepy Hollow. And so it's just this really, oh, we're in it now. And then because we're homebodies, we come home, we put our tree up, and we decorate it with Halloween decorations, and we watch The Nightmare Before Christmas. Yeah. And then the house has kind of fall decorations for a little bit, and then it slowly switches into Christmas right around now. Because of the movie, we just went full tilt boogie and we're like, Christmas, Christmas everywhere, Christmas. But that's what we do. And that's what sets us into the holiday season. So leading up to it, we're getting there, but there's no tree because the tree wouldn't make sense if you're just watching, Halloween or Sleepy Hollow or any of those. But once the Nightmare Before Christmas hits, I mean, it's on. It's on. Especially also because being a Broadway guy, Ken Page who's the voice of Oogie Boogie, was who just passed. He he was a friend of mine, and he was someone that I got to work with early on in my career. Actually, the first year I got my equity card and turned professional, I was working in a show, and he kind of took me under his wing and was like, here's all the things that I've learned in my million years of being a legend on Broadway. And so it's just like a really wonderful to hear his voice and to see that. It's always separately a special thing for me. And especially this year with his passing, it was just such it was a really a magical time. So, and then to get, a week or two later to be able to watch this wonderful Christmas movie that I get to be in, like, come on.